Okay, originally I was recording a YouTube video, but I was like, you know what, let's stream. I was playing this, and I was like, you know, I'll just stream it, so. The heck is this? Funny that we're playing Friday Night Funkin' on a Friday. Hypno backstory? Hypno used to have a trainer before. The fuck is that thing? Looks like Batman. Oh my gosh, you lost. Oh my gosh, you lost your trainer. Oh my gosh, it's Team Rocket's fault. So when like a Pokemon trainer is... So when like a Pokemon trainer dies, and the Pokemon is still around, does it like get stuck in like a Pokeball? Anyway, we still got... I get enough more. Let's try this session. The hell is that thing in the back? Oh, this must be going off the story where we're definitely watching creepypastas after this. Pokemon creepypastas. Where I can't remember how it went. But basically, his friend killed his Charizard. Or... Okay. I already did these ones on our recording. Pasta night. Insomnia. Try this one. Oh, y'all like the new haircut? It's fresh. Oh shit. Oh, his alligator is asleep. Because Cyndaquil used... Or we used an item to put it to sleep, and Cyndaquil used Nightmare. Alright, let me itch my nose. Beat goes hard! This is why I never can play the piano, like, fastly. Shinto. Now there was like a video to... I want to see what this one is. Is that a ponytail? Okay, yeah, here's what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna watch a lore video, and I'm gonna commentate on it. Lore. Okay. We're just gonna commentate on it.
My girl Yinlin. Look at that design. Fiery red hair.
The Hypno's Lullaby V2 mod just dropped, and even though it was technically cancelled, a lot of the mod was actually completed, so it looks like we have a fully fleshed out mod here. In this video, I'm going to go over the Hypno's Lullaby actual creepypasta, I'm going to go over each of the characters in the mod, and then we'll talk a little bit about why this mod ended up being cancelled. Now, the first character that we need to go over is going to be Hypno, because I think if we go over his creepypasta, it'll help you understand how boyfriend and girlfriend ended up in this situation. Now, the Hypno's Lullaby story actually reads a lot like a poem, and it goes like this. Come little children, come with me, safe and happy you will be, away from your homes, now let us run. With Hypno, you'll have...
Man, Hypno really pulled a P. Diddy. Nah, I'm
so much
joking.
fun. Oh,
wait, was it P. Diddy? Let me pull up. Yep. Make sure I'm getting it right. What crimes did P. Diddy commit? Oh. Whoa! What? I don't think I can show those words on stream, but what? That's the first time I actually looked at what P. Diddy did.
little children, please don't cry. Hypno wouldn't hurt a fly. Be free, be free, be free to play. Come down in my cave with me to stay. Oh, little children, please don't squirm. Those ropes I know will hold you firm. Hypno tells you this is true, but sadly, Hypno lied to you. Oh, little children, you mustn't leave. Your families for you will grieve. Their minds will unravel at the seam, allowing me to haunt their dreams. But surely all of you must know that it is time for you to go. Oh, little children, you weren't clever. Now you shall stay with me forever. This creepypasta is based on the Pokédex of Hypno, where it kind of implies that there was a time where Hypno actually hypnotized a child and took that child away. In the Pokemon game, so it doesn't make it seem as if Hypno actually did anything to harm the child. This creepypasta...
Yeah, they did in Pokemon Fire Red. I don't even know if I did that quest. Let me check real quick. Actually, let me not open my Game Boy. Fun fact, I found a shiny Mewtwo. It was about, like, a week or two ago. You like how I said found? Fun fact. Your brain doesn't process things as quickly as color change. So, doing this, and then turn it, well, let me check if it's shiny again. Doing this, and then looking at the screen, and you're like, oh, it's not shiny. Let me just... And then realizing it was.
Pasta takes Hypno and makes him like the worst case scenario of what he could do with his abilities. The thing that really makes Hypno's story so sinister is that he tricks these kids who went missing one night, and girlfriend, knowing that that is suspicious, went out looking for him.
Oh, really? Him? Aren't they the same age?
Hypno, and she sees these
like 19
footprints leading into the woods. Now, since his girlfriend, she never actually understands how much danger she's in going against Hypno. Because as we see in the end screen, Hypno actually does have enough power to actually manipulate girlfriend or to hypnotize her for a short time. Meaning that if she slips up, he can actually do her harm, unlike a lot of enemies that she faces. Another thing that pops up in this mod that relates back to the actual creepypasta is that girlfriend finds boyfriend laid out in a cave. Meaning that Hypno probably kidnapped boyfriend so that his family would start to worry about him so that he could devour their nightmares and their bad thoughts as well. A fun fact that a lot of people don't know is that partway through the mod, Hypno starts to lose control of his actual body. We see that his head gets all elongated, his body turns into basically like this lump of flesh. And that's because apparently he's putting so much energy into trying to maintain his pendulum that he can't actually keep his body in his regular form anymore, which is why he's falling apart in a sense. Now, before we move on,
just throw a master ball at it.
The songs Be Gone Focus and Memories.
Can escape now.
Small Hypno and this other version of Hypno kind of standing on a rooftop. Now,
Batman
the visuals here kind of give away what Hypno is thinking about doing, but a lot of people don't understand why he feels like this. And from my understanding, this version of Hypno actually had a trainer that ended up unaliving herself, and now he feels like he has no purpose, which is why he's on this rooftop. Definitely
why is Hypno
short? It does kind of give another
why is it the Hypno so short? Shouldn't it have been like a oh no, there's no way I forgot its name. Oh, I'm gonna feel like such a dumbass. There's no way. evolution. Oh my god. Drowsy, that's it.
Perspective to why Hypno is doing the things that he is doing.
There's a brand new AI tool that does prompt to YouTube video. As in,
Shut
you
up.
type in a short prompt.
Next on our list, we're going to talk about all the Lost Silver creepypasta characters, but first I got to tell you the actual backstory of the Lost Silver creepypasta, and it goes like this. So the Lost Silver creepypasta actually originated on 4chan, and it was a thread from all the way back in 2010. Now the original creepypasta started with this person who was a huge Pokemon fan, and he ended up going to GameStop to find a copy of Pokemon Silver, and he ended up...
I always used to have like a weird dream and obsession with like finding like a haunted video game cartridge and just finding it for fun. That's why partially I have like a copy of Majora's Mask that I found online, thinking that it would be like the haunted bin shit. Turns out it wasn't. It was just an original copy of Majora's Mask for the Nintendo 64, and I played through the whole thing.
Ended up finding a copy, but it was dirt cheap. Now in actuality, that should have been the first red flag, because if anybody has been to GameStop, you know dang well no Pokemon game is cheap.
Exactly.
This person actually got the
I got my Pokemon game for like fucking
game home and loaded it up. They noticed that there was already a save file on there, and it was kind of weird. The Pokédex had all 251 Pokemon in it, and the person also had maxed out their money and their levels. But the most unsettling thing was the actual party that the person had. The party basically contained 5 unknown and 1 Cyndaquil. And according to the creepypasta, the unknown spelled out leave, and the Cyndaquil's name was hurry. The narrator of this creepypasta also talks about finding himself trapped in a still version of the Bellsprout Tower, and apparently parts of this room were just completely engulfed in darkness, and even when he tried to use flash, the only thing that happened was that the room turned this menacing red color. And as the trainer got deeper into this world, he noticed that Pokemon don't faint here, but they're actually unalived. Kind of like doing a Pokemon Nuzlocke, but for real. The unknown that originally spelled leave started spelling dying, and then eventually even spelled no more. In the original creepypasta, the narrator also had
Oh, that's what it's spelled. Okay.
Red and blue, and I think some of them actually pop up in this mod as well. And a fun fact, in the creepypasta, we actually see Celebi and we see Pikachu going at it, and they end up taking each other out by using Parasong and Destiny Bond. The narrator also noticed that the longer he was in this Pokemon universe, the more he started to actually lose his sanity, but also pieces of his body. And this is why when we look at Gold, he literally has no arms or legs. Now, when we actually look at the Friday Night Funkin' mod, we get to see Gold first fighting against Red, and a lot of people don't know this version of Red is actually...
Damn! What happened to Snorlax?
Called Snow on Mount Silver. And in that creepypasta, we basically see Red get trapped on top of Mount Silver, and his Pokemon basically start to freeze until they're unalived. And since he can't fly off the mountain, he can't use an escape rope, and he can't simply walk down, Red eventually faces the same fate as his Pokemon. And that's why in this mod, we see him take on this skeletal form where he's missing a leg and all his Pokemon are laying on the floor. That's because this is how the creepypasta actually ends for Red. The next character that we get to see in the mod is Silver, and he's in the song called Insomnia. He actually comes from the video game version of Lost Silver. Gold can run into him and battle his sleeping Feraligatr, which is what we see here on the screen. What's kind of funny though is in the mod, Cyndaquil uses something called Nightmare, and it basically
What do you mean something called Nightmare? It's a move.
And then he simply faints after that. And the last words that Silver actually says to you is even. Now, a lot of people have different interpretations of this, but in my opinion, I think that this kind of shows how a lot of these kids in the Pokemon games kind of have their moment of glory, and then they just kind of fade out. As you
My opinion is this is where it all started, where Gold started looking for Silver. After that battle, he must have been so distraught about that lost that he ran off, probably to hide, or he just ended up unaliving himself. I don't know.
see in the actual mod, he basically has no mouth. It looks like it's been sealed in, and his eyes are literally black, just sunken and gone. It's almost as if they're saying that as these kids reach their peak, they no longer have anything to actually offer. They're just getting replaced by dark, gloomy forest. If you're still with me in this video, put down your favorite Gen 2 Pokemon. Mine
Gen 2?
is definitely going to be Chikorita.
What the fuck? Chikorita? Bro, why? That is such a trash Pokemon to have on your team. No, hey, Chikorita was my favorite in the anime. Because she was the funniest. But my favorite Gen 2 would definitely be like Typhlosion, obviously.
Burrito. Now, the next character that we see in this mod is from the creepypasta of the same name. Now, this creepypasta hits home for a lot of people because, first of all, it deals with Pokemon Red, which invokes a sense of nostalgia for a lot of people. And it also adds some insight into why Red is so silent, meaning why he doesn't talk. Now, to sum this creepypasta up, it basically involves a person who bought a copy of Pokemon Red off of eBay. And as soon as this person actually received the game and booted it up, he knew that it wasn't a normal game. But he ignored that, figuring that he had spent enough money on regular Pokemon games in the past so he could deal with having one bootleg copy. Now, the protagonist of this story played through the game pretty much normally, up until he got to the part where he can do that missing number glitch. But for whatever reason, the glitch didn't actually work on this particular game. So the protagonist just went on playing through the game and ended up going into the mansion that's on Cinnabar Island. Now, when he walked into the mansion, there was actually some text that popped up that said, "Nice try, Red." And this actually started to creep this guy out because if you played through the Pokemon games before, you know that this actual text doesn't pop up. And
Why
it
would
was
you try
also
to
in
miss
all
a
caps,
glitch?
as if it was the actual
I
player
guess to get
saying this. Now,
copy
as he
Pokemon
continued
and
to
get extra
progress through the
Master Balls.
game, he noticed that Red kept talking to him. And Red was basically asking, why are these things happening to him? Why is he suffering? Why are there so many glitches in his world? And why is he basically being tortured for doing nothing wrong? Now, initially, the protagonist thought that this was just a glitch, but as they started happening more and more often, he realized that this was something more than just a glitch. This video game character seemed to actually be talking to him and be actually suffering based on these glitches. And to make matters worse, one day when the protagonist was asleep, he actually had a nightmare that a kid in a red and white cap that looked a lot like Red actually appeared in his dream. And when his dream version of Red saw the protagonist, he attacked him, scratching up his chest and his sides. And this wouldn't have been a big deal if when the protagonist woke up, he didn't have those same scratches on his chest. And to make matters worse, even to this day when the protagonist wakes up, he still finds those scratches on his chest, meaning even after he beat the game, Red still comes into his dreams and attacks him. Now, while this
They never
creepypasta
do
is
the miss
obviously
no
kind of
glitch.
scary, one thing that kind of always stuck with me is how sad it is as well. The whole story, Red is basically just trying to understand why he has to suffer, why does he have to die, why does he have to be dismissed and forgotten even though he was supposed to be a hero, like a Pokemon master. And since he never actually gets the answer to that, he just stops talking. That's why whenever you run into him, he's just silent. Definitely a scary Pokemon creepypasta, but also very sad. The next character that we see on our list is...
Yeah, this is...
Genjo has met with countless trials.
Shut up, punk guy. Unless you sponsor me. Nah, I'm joking. Honestly, I am desperate for sponsors.
Red
I would
from a
take anything.
creepypasta of the same name, and this one is also very dark. The narrator basically talks about trying to trade his Charizard with his brother
Yeah.
so that his brother can finally complete his Pokédex. But during the trade, something happens to where the game glitches and Charizard is basically lost forever. Now, what makes this really sad is that Charizard was basically his favorite Pokemon. Now, after a year of being depressed and mourning, the trainer finally decides that he's going to try to resurrect his Charizard. So it has very much Pet Cemetery type of vibes. And he tries
Or, instead of being sad and resurrecting your Charizard, you could get an egg from a daycare. So, hear me out. Evolve that up to Charizard, and boom, you have another Charizard. Instead of doing a satanic seance.
to use the glitch missing no in order to make this happen, but in the game it actually has a quote that says sometimes dead is better, and he does succeed in resurrecting something, but it is not the Charizard that he came to love, but instead a type of abomination. In the game it actually gives him a couple of options, and the last option is Strangle. And in the creepypasta, that's what the character actually
Strangle
chooses,
Red.
which is why it has the name Strangle. Very sad creepypasta because all he wanted to do is bring back his best friend, and he ended up basically making that Charizard suffer death twice. The next characters that we see in the mod are going to be Hellsbell and Beelzebub, or aka the old man in the suit. And this one is from a creepypasta called Pokemon Hellbell. And the creepypasta basically talks about how a young girl inherited a copy of the Pokemon game from her brother because he simply
The
didn't
hell
like
is
Gen
that
4
Pokemon?
And apparently he had hacked into the game and got like 6 level 100 Rayquazas. So when he hated this Pokemon, she went ahead and started trading those Rayquazas for other...
Bro, why do you hate Rayquaza? 6 level 100 Mm.
Pokemon, and one of the Pokemon that she traded the Rayquaza for was Bronzong. Now, when she got this
Bravo.
Pokemon, she noticed that its nickname was Hellbell, and since she was very religious, she was going to get rid of the Pokemon at first, but she noticed that she couldn't trade it, and she also couldn't put it back in the PC. And even when she tried, it gave her a message saying, I can't go back on my own, you need to take me back. So trying to follow the direction of this Pokemon, she does end up trying to take it back to its original owner, and she ends up finding an old man in a suit. Now, I believe that this old man is supposed to be the devil, and I say this because if you look at the actual mod, it looks like they're actually in a part of hell there. But in the creepypasta, he also asks for the woman's true name, and he also tells her to breathe into the actual Game Boy. And once she does this, he says, thank you, now you belong to me. And from that
How
moment
the fuck
on,
does
she was
that work?
basically like a cursed human, meaning that she could barely sleep anymore. Any food that she ate basically tasted like ashes, and whenever she would go around any type of wildlife, they would either bark at her or just run away. And while some people don't think that that's a big deal, that's all animals. Even her own dog would run away from her at
Damn,
this
that's
point, even though
fucked.
the dog should know that that's his owner, that she loves. That actually deals with like the real devil is kind of creepy in a way. Now, the next character that we see in the mod is actually Missing No, and this one is interesting because the missing number glitch doesn't really have a single creepypasta that's dedicated to it, but instead it has multiple different creepypastas with different scenarios. The one thing that all these creepypastas have in common though is that it usually deals with Pokemon getting trapped into their Pokeballs and then being corrupted because they can't get out. These creepypastas are usually very sad because they don't just deal with Pokemon fainting, but literally being unalive because they simply cannot get out of their Pokeballs. The next character we see on the list is called
Yeah.
Buried Alive, and he's the main antagonist of the creepypasta, also called Buried Alive. And initially, he was supposed to be a Pokemon trainer who you actually fought as like a boss in the Pokemon Tower.
Yeah, but
later on, he was
they scrapped that because they realized it was too
actually
fucking
replaced
terrifying.
by Marowak's ghost. For the people who would have been able to make it to him, the Pokemon that you would have faced was a Gengar, a Muck, and then 2 white hands. Now, the white hands actually appear in this mod here, and the white hand is basically a Pokemon which is depicted as like a shriveled, decayed hand. And the 2 white hands could use the ability Transform to actually turn into the opponent's Pokemon and attack them like that. In the Friday Night Funkin' mod, we actually see Girlfriend pop up and it looks like her face is gone. Those are actually the
Yeah.
white hands transforming into something that they know would be a weakness for Boyfriend. And if you did end up actually losing a battle against Buried Alive,
It will
would be
drag
this
you
screen
under.
that says finally, fresh meat, and then Buried Alive would drag the player back to his grave and devour that person. So now I want to go ahead and talk about why this mod ended up actually being canceled.
Come and take a look and see what we got. The #1 movie in the world
Oh,
is Garfield.
they always say that about movies. It's the #1. Rated 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It seems that over the last couple of days, a lot of people in Banbud team has ended up leaving, and it's because apparently a couple of months ago he ended up using the N-word while in Discord.
Are you the same person who called me what? Homie, what?
And apparently he did
It wasn't a hard R, but it doesn't matter if it's a hard R or not. If you're white, you can't say it.
apologize to the people that were involved in the room at the time, but apparently the topic was brought back up on Twitter, and after that, I'm assuming that people started leaving the team. Now, personally, I feel like there's something been left out here because it seems like once the team found out about this, they either started leaving or maybe Twitter started harassing the team as a whole. So
Most
then they
likely
started
Twitter started
leaving.
harassing them.
I'm not really sure, but from reading the comments, it doesn't seem like a lot of people, at least in his audience, were very much upset with him saying the N-word.
I mean, it's just... I mean, it's in what context you use it in. There's like a certain cut. No offense, no white person should be using the N-word, unlike a casual saying. But sometimes there is a context to it.
Word, a lot of people actually were like, "Hey, I forgive you." But I do have
Because sometimes they use it as slang.
2 things that I want to say about this. For whatever reason, it seems like mod creators in the Friday Night Funkin' community cannot go without saying racial slurs or without trying to go after some children. Everybody
Bro,
that has been canceled for the most part, it's been one of those
Yeah. Nah, I'm joking.
2 things, and both
You
of
know
those
what,
things are not hard to not do. And with that being said, it always surprises me how many people will come to the
Yeah,
defense
I
of
don't
some.
get cancel culture that much because it's simple not to get canceled. Just don't do messed up things. If you're talking to a fan and they're like, "Oh, I'm a huge fan of you," blah blah blah, blah blah blah, love your content. Just say thank you. And thank you for watching our content. You don't need to press on. You don't need to press on for more conversation. Especially if they're a minor. Like, I'm about to show y'all the analytics of my channel.
The Hypnos,
Um,
because regardless if he said the N word with an A or a R,
how do I view YouTube Studio? Okay, I'm about to show y'all the analytics. I think I can pull up the age rate. How many of y'all
he still
are
said a
like...
racial slur, right? And when you look at the context, it wasn't even necessary. He didn't need to say it. That's the thing. If I can give any advice to some of you young people as a high school teacher, stop saying stupid stuff online, right? Get it in any type of way because it can come back later to haunt you.
Imagine if a teacher fucking texted it, was so pissed off at a student, and they like have like this Twitter account, and their students follow it, and they were like, "Ooh, 304 views on the last day, in the last 28 days. Not that bad." How do I pull out audience? There we go. 74 74.1 of y'all are not subscribed. And nah, I'm joking. I don't really press on much if you're not subscribed or not. The last 28 days. Am I able just to see? I said the last 28 days, the lifetime. So more or less, it's more of, where's the age rating? Who is 44 years old watching my channel? More or less of the 13 and 17-year range that is watching my channel. But if you know you have a young audience, and you're gonna do something stupid like try to talk to with a minor or something like that, just don't. It's not that hard. It's not that hard not to get canceled. But I'm helping to grow my YouTube channel. In the last 28 days, it has been 100% male. Inspiration. What? Pokemon? Oh! Pokemon what? I already played Indigo Park. I am waiting for, I didn't know YouTube offered videos. Gaming with Evil. Official Evil Nun, and I'm not playing Evil Nun. Or game made me cry. I just clicked to it. Hello, 20. 30 peak. I hope this YouTube channel grows, actually. Anyway, without further ado.
Especially if you don't mean those things. Why put something out into the world if you're not actually racist or you're not actually a bigot, right?
Exactly.
Somebody gets that video of you saying something stupid, right? When you're trying to go for an internship, a job, trying to get into a college. All it takes is them like, hey, is this who you allow in your facility? Whatever it may be. And then you did something and then you have to take consequences for that. You can't blame other people. That has to be something that you take onto yourself, right? And in all honesty, even though Bam Bud said what he said, I am kind of sad to see him leaving the Friday Night Funkin' community on a bad note, because I believe that he was going to probably leave the Friday Night Funkin' community after he finished his mod anyway, but there was probably a chance that he would have come back at some point. I think now he's probably just done with the community as a whole. And it seems that as more time passes by, we lose more and more mod creators. Now, with that being said, though, I hope that the Friday Night Funkin' community continues to grow, and I hope that as more modders come into the community...
Okay, but you.
Hello, my name is Julius and welcome to a new
Hi,
episode
Julius.
of Photoshop Happy Hour where I combine two random elements together, and today we're combining Ancient Ruins and Astronaut.
I left a few characters out my original Hypno's Lullaby mod, so in this video I'm going to cover those characters
Alright, let's
that I
go.
didn't get in the first video, starting with Shinto. Now, first of all, the reason that so many of you wasn't able to really find information about Shinto is because she's actually an original character in this mod, and she's one of only 3. The other 2 being Gray and Alexis. Every other character in this mod was actually from some type of existing piece of Pokemon horror media, whether that be creepypastas or artwork. Now, in the backstory of Shinto, apparently she comes from like a bootleg Pokemon game, and even though she looks a bit derpy, there is something sinister about this Pokemon. Most people will probably figure this out just by looking at her. She literally has voice for eyes and her mouth is pretty much the same, and she also has no fingers or toes. Now, she's supposed to resemble Hypno, but she's missing a couple of core things that definitely let you know that's not Hypno. First one being that tuft of white hair that Hypno always has on his chest. She has no fingers.
That
so she
Hypno
can't hold
looked
the pendulum
buff
that
as
all
hell.
Hypnos
What the-
basically have. And let's be real, that's kind of like Hypno's thing. And of course, the features in general are just too misshapen. It almost looks like a puppet instead of an actual Pokemon. Now, up until the end of the song, everything seems to be going okay. But once Gray, and that's the person who's actually battling against Shinto, tries to catch him, that's when things go wrong. We actually see Shinto in the Pokeball trying to break out, and basically what he's saying is that this person cheated. He's
No.
not actually supposed to be captured. And this actually leads me to believe that Shinto is not a Pokemon at all. In this bootleg game, he's more of like a demon or something like that. And the reason that I believe that is because I know the backstory of Gray, the Pokemon trainer that actually threw the Pokeball. Now, apparently, the developers of this bootleg Pokemon game didn't want to actually code in a trainer, so what they did was they trapped the soul of a little boy into the game and then called that good enough, which in my opinion seems like it would be much harder to capture somebody's soul and put it
So you... So you would rather, like, take a soul from an actual human child and throw it into your game than just simply write a code to code a trainer into your game? I feel like that's much harder. I can write code perfectly fine. Their excuse is that they were just lazy.
the game, then it just code went in, but I'm not a coder, so I don't know. Next,
It's
we can see that
easy!
Shinto has actually broken out of the Pokeball altogether, and now this form looks a lot more sinister. Shinto actually has eyes now, but her body is making all these weird contortions, and the most important thing here is how scared Gray looks. It seems that this has gone from being a regular Pokemon battle to him actually having to fight for his life, because he looks absolutely terrified here. And now that we know that he's actually just a little boy trapped in this game, it makes it all the worse, especially because he keeps telling Shinto to just leave him alone. Even though this isn't an actual creepypasta, it is creepy in its own right. Now, the next character that we have on this list is Jigglypuff in the song Piran. Now, something interesting about this one is that Jigglypuff actually isn't from a creepypasta, but she's from a popular piece of artwork that we don't actually know who made. But since then, a lot of people have made recreations of it, and it basically looks like this right here.
Yeah.
Now, most people will think that you couldn't make Jigglypuff scary, but the fact that they changed her color to gray and made her face be able to mutate like that is definitely one of the creepiest Pokemon I've seen, period. Now, it's obvious that Jigglypuff is actually battling against Pico here, but we don't actually know how Pico got into this situation and why he doesn't have his iconic Uzi, but instead he just has a knife, which I think is not going to be enough for this Jigglypuff. And this idea is kind of backed up by the unused end screen that they actually have for Pico if he loses against Jigglypuff. It was meant to be like a jump scare, and it's actually pretty good. The only thing I wish they would have had here is sound, but since they actually get used, I can imagine they did want to work on making sound for something that was going to be scrapped anyway. The last thing that I want to mention in this song is that in the background, even though it's hard to see because she's in shadow, that's Joy. I didn't put this in the original video on purpose because we see the situation that she's in. Now, I couldn't find much information about her, but apparently this version of Nurse Joy would do anything for her Pokemon, and I think when she let some Pokemon actually pass on, she may have not been able to deal with the guilt, so she ended up doing that to herself.
Yikes.
The next song that we have in the mod is called Pasta Night, and this one is interesting because we have a bunch of creepy pasta characters all together in like this little card room, and it looks like they're having basically a little party. If you're still hearing this video, list all the creepy pasta characters that you recognize in the background. I count 15 total. Now, Bambuzz actually just made a tweet today talking about the backstory of this song, and basically originally it was supposed to be called Celebration, and as the name implies, it was a song that was supposed to celebrate their accomplishment, aka making this mod.
Oh, Sonic is playing.
Showcase him.
Sonic is playing Uno with Mario, and Hypno is just a loss. So they
bring in other creepypasta characters because that's kind of the inspiration for the mod. And even though some people might feel a type of way about this mod now that the controversy has come out and all the drama, but I don't think anybody could deny that Hypno's Lullaby is one of the best creepypasta mods that has come out, right? It's definitely on par up there with the Sonic.exe mods, which are extremely popular as well. And if we're being honest, the Mario Madness mod was also very popular, and that's the mod where MX probably got the most clout or the most fame. And also in that mod, MX and Lord X are actually considered to be best friends, so having these three sitting at the table actually makes a lot of sense. And for the people that don't know, MX is basically a demonic form of Mario, and basically what he does is he captures the souls of children who are playing like a bootleg copy of his game, and when they're in the game, they actually take on the form of Mario or Luigi, and then MX chases them down, and if he catches them, he basically devours their souls.
Today, let me tell you about something awesome. Number one, this hot man. That's obvious. You could do laundry on those abs.
Pause.
Next, we're going to talk about Lord X, and while he is not a demon spirit like Mario MX, he is a creature from the void, meaning he's from outer space, and when he came down to Earth, he actually took on the form of Sonic the Hedgehog so that he could manipulate people into playing games. I think he took on the form of Sonic because he knew that people would trust Sonic the Hedgehog, and it would be easier to get people to play these games that basically allow him to take their souls. Just like MX, Lord X is a type of character that will not only devour a person's body, but their soul, completely erasing them from existence. The next character in the mod that I overlooked is Dawn, and this character is actually a playable character from Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Now, at the part of the song, you actually get to play as Dawn, but apparently she's been controlled by Boyfriend, and eventually Boyfriend ends up getting sucked into the game, which is why Dawn disappears. Another interesting fact about this is that since Dawn isn't actually there, the person who actually owes their soul to this old man is Boyfriend and not Dawn. This interaction is kind of important because Boyfriend is in such close proximity to demons. I wonder how like Daddy Dearest girlfriend and Mommy Mirrors would take that. Even though Daddy Dearest doesn't love Boyfriend, his daughter does, and I think that would probably be some type of conflict that would be kind of interesting to see. The next character that we have on the list, and even though it's hard to tell, is actually Wigglytuff, and it's in the song called Amusia. And a fun fact here, amusia is a condition that leaves a person unable to perceive music, which of course would be a terrible fate for a Pokemon that literally lives to sing. And the name of this song actually makes sense when you know the backstory of the creepypasta, which is named Disable. The story basically starts with a kid that really wanted a Wigglytuff or a Jigglypuff, so they ended up trading with somebody and they got a Wigglytuff at level 26, but there was something off about the Wigglytuff from the start. The Wigglytuff had a name that was called Disabled, and when you looked at the Pokemon nature, it said Gloomy. And I'm pretty sure even today there is no gloomy nature, but definitely back in the day there wasn't a gloomy nature for Pokemon.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I think
sure
Shy might have been the closest thing to gloomy. But basically when the trainer got this Wigglytuff, it only knew Sing, so he taught him a couple of other moves and then went out to start battling. The first Pokemon that they ran into was Ponyta, which is why we actually see Ponyta in this mod. And as he was trying to attack Ponyta, he realized that Sing didn't work, but also none of the other moves worked as well. The thing that was the most creepy is that when he tried to use Sing time and time again, it just kept saying that Sing was disabled. And the thing that was even more creepy is that the Ponyta in the game lost its regular sprite look and actually just looked terrified. The face that the Ponyta is making in the mod actually is a good representation of this. The trainer tried to battle two Ponytas and each time they were able to run away because Wigglytuff just couldn't do any damage and more importantly, couldn't sing. Now the part that's really creepy about this is that while the kid is holding his DS trying to figure out what's going on with his Pokemon, he starts to hear a voice coming through the actual speakers. And the voice is basically asking, why can't I sing? And it gets even weirder when Disable asks the boy, can you sing? Now initially the little kid says no.
No, I cannot sing.
But then Disable starts to scream through this DS, just saying, sing, sing, louder and louder. And even though this kid was trying to tell Disable that he could not sing, the Pokemon thought that he was lying. It just kept screaming through the DS. Eventually, the kid
Damn, I've
dropped
been
the
streaming
DS
for
and just
almost
ran
an
out of
hour
the room.
already.
And later on, he decided to just trade the Wigglytuff to some other kid. Now, those of you who are familiar with Pokemon creepypastas will understand this ending. When he traded this Wigglytuff, he actually traded it for a Cyndaquil, and the Cyndaquil's name was Hurry. If you understand that reference, put it down in the comments. If you
Oh,
enjoyed
yeah,
this video,
from
make sure to check
Red.
out part 1 here.
From Lost, not Lost Silver. Let me think what else I want to. But yeah, also there was this game that, let me just show y'all because I'm getting, I don't know what's in the chat, but so I uploaded this. I'm gonna give y'all a sneak peek like I always do. Oh. Hey guys, it's Joey, the Pokemon trainer here, and welcome back to Talking to Ruby. What's up? Where's back to Talking to Ruby? What's up? Your heart rate. Yeah, I don't know if I want to upload that game or not, even though it's not incomplete. Let's search up MatPat.
Roblox is way more fun when you have Robux. But Robux cost money, and that's not fun at all. Unless you have Buff.
Unless you start working for Roblox IKEA. Yes! You can submit your... Actually, let me see if I... Roblox IKEA. Application. Why submit it for shits and giggles? IKEA hiring 10 people. At least 18 years old, live in either the UK or the Republic. But what's stopping someone for downloading a VPN and changing their location? I might download it for shits and giggles. Oh yeah, I totally live in the UK. British! Let's see. How do you feel about being turned into pics? How much does this pay? €14 an hour. But what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna sit on your ass at a computer for like 8 to 10 hours? Or is it like part-time? Like, I don't even know. Let me see it. Work at IKEA, bro.
With Buff.
Beware the man who talks in hands.
Speaks in hands. Really? I find people who speak in sign language to be rather pleasant
I have never met anyone who speaks in sign language. Beware the man that speaks in hands.
tap on the screen.
In today's video, we're going to cover all the Pokemon horror stories that have popped up in FNF over the last year, starting with the newest mod titled Ingrained. All of these stories are really dark, so leave now if you don't want your image of Pokemon ruined.
No,
Now,
I'm
Ingrained
joking.
takes
My
place
image
during-
of Pokemon has been ruined ever since I accidentally read that fucking Vaporeon copy pasta. Did you know, according to...
of what would have sparks of green popping up to show that they are actually being healed. So they are basically in a state where they are forever drowning but never able to pass away. A very similar situation to Drown Sonic, if you guys remember that mod. This creepypasta is actually the counterpart to a creepypasta called Drought, where they fail to stop Team Magma's plan, and a Groudon basically turns the world into a giant microwave, slowly burning every person and Pokemon to death. Honestly, if I had to choose between drowning or burning alive, I don't even know if I can dives down to the bottom of the ocean just so he can battle May. What's in reality?
That's so fun. Imagine her just screaming out, "Save me! Save!" Beep by beep. She's fucking hated. Well, I can't save you, but I can offer you an awesome beatbox battle. That's so fun. And if you beat me in a beatbox battle, I'll save you. If not, too bad. You drown.
What he should be trying to do is figure out a way to get out of this crazy drowned Pokemon universe. The next creepypasta on our list is going to be Hypno's Lullaby. Now, the Hypno's Lullaby story actually reads a lot like a poem, and it goes like this. Come little children, come with me, safe and happy.
Oh, we already had this
away
one.
from your hand, and it was a thread from all the way back in 2010. Now, the original creepypasta started with this person who was a huge Pokemon fan, and he ended up going to GameStop to find a copy of Pokemon Silver, and he ended up finding a copy, but it was dirt cheap. But there's one in particular that I really like by a YouTuber named YouTube HK, and it basically goes as father wanted it. The kid was so excited to play it that he decided to go ahead and fire it up immediately. Now, once he started the game, he noticed that the letter had a set of instructions.
Bro, I'm not even that
The owner
stupid.
wanted the kid to not start a new game, but instead to continue his file and finish his Pokédex. Now, the save file was technically only missing 3 Pokemon.
How do you forget to capture Oho and Lugia? Wait, so what? I don't think you could... Can you catch... Can... Lugia... The heart gold.
Hi everyone, my name is Margarita. Today we're going to be diving in the amazing world of animating in Photoshop.
Wing and should be heading for the bell tower in Aquatic City to look for Ho-Oh. You'll need to bring with you Pokemon that can use Whirlpool and Flash. I also highly recommend that you have Kurt prepare a batch of heavy balls before you set out. Welcome back to the Pokemon Heart Gold walkthrough. In the last part we battled alongside Silver against Lance and Claire in the Dragon's Den, and in this part we will head to the Whirl Islands to catch the legendary Pokemon Lugia. Once you've reached Pewter City and received the Silver Wing from an old man, you can head to the Whirl Islands to look for Lugia. Soul Silver players would instead receive the Rainbow Wing and should be heading for the Bell Tower in Aquatic City to look for Ho-Oh.
Oh, okay, I see. Because I thought they were just version exclusive locks.
First catch Celebi, and once he captured it with a Master Ball, he noticed that when he transferred the Pokemon to his PC, it actually got transferred to something called Pandora's Box. Now, this really should have been a red flag for this kid because most of you are probably familiar with Pandora's Box. And in case you're not, it's basically a old Greek mythology myth, and if you open up this box, it releases sickness, death, and just basically evil stuff, right? Demons. But in this kid's defense, why would he really be thinking that? So he just went ahead and continued on as if nothing had really happened. Now, remembering the rest of his mission, the kid went ahead and captured the last 2 legendaries, and once he had all the legendaries, he went ahead and looked at the next part of the instructions on the letter. And the letter basically told him to make a team consisting of Mew, Ho-Oh, Celebi, Lugia, Suicune, and Moltres. Now, the next step required the boy to go to the ruins of Alph and play the unknown radio in front of a statue at precisely 3 a.m., which of course is another red flag considering that 3 a.m. is the witching hour. Now, once 3 a.m. hit, the boy spoke to the statue. He noticed that a cry rang out that he had never heard before. And after that, each one of his Pokemon would cry out and then vanish. Now, once they were all gone, a text box appeared saying that your sacrifice of your team has made way for the liberation of the unknown king. Soon after that, the boy saw a Pokédex entry of a Pokemon that looked like a bunch of unknown mashed together into like a crab-like monstrosity. The Pokédex said that this ferocious beast can sleep for thousands of years, and when it wakes up, he will kill anything in order to feed. Now, the boy didn't think too much of this initially, but as he started to travel around the Pokemon world, he noticed that a lot of people were disappearing. And after he ended up talking to Mr. Fuji, he learned that this is because the unknown king was feeding on people. The story basically ends with the young man having to battle against the unknown king and being handily defeated. But the most interesting part is that at the end of this, a man in black appears and he thanks the young man for freeing the unknown king, saying that it wouldn't have been possible without him. And I assume with some of the hints that they drop in the creepypasta that this is supposed to be the devil. Now, while this creepypasta is definitely dark, it technically
So why couldn't the last person just catch Lugia, Celebi, and Ho-Oh? Not even really that hard. Alright, there we go. I thought the top 10 best Pokemon creepypastas.
What's up? I'm your local pleb, and since it's close to Halloween, I wanted to make a spooky—
It is not close to Halloween. It is still... We still got like 6 months. It is June. July. I'll be going to another con in December. I turned 20 here.
video for the channel that I've actually done a long time ago on my Hyperheim channel.
Is my nose bleeding? No.
I did a video about my top 10 favorite Pokemon creepypastas. I just love how people can get creative with these stories, even if some come off as more cliche than others. I wanted to remake this list for a while, and that's because I genuinely love Pokemon creepypastas, or Pokepastas as some call them. Plus, since it's that time for spooks, it's no surprise why I shouldn't do it now, even though I have another scary video planned at some point later. Oops. Before I start, I do want to mention that I have another Your Local Pleb video in the works, but I haven't gotten time to work on it because of productivity and scheduling issues. But don't worry.
Yeah, same. I have.
Oh yeah, and I can't.
I have like. I keep recording videos. I have like. There's like a video. Okay, I'll just give y'all a sneak peek of it. So I recorded Alice. Hey guys, it's Joey.thepokemon.trainer. I don't know how to feel about this upload.
Swingle target at close range.
Yeah, because my commentary is like quiet in this, and I don't talk. There ain't no way. I don't know how to feel about this upload.
This list is filled with my opinions. You may agree with some, and you may disagree with others. Also, if you want, feel free to tell me what some of your favorite Pokemon creepypastas are in the comments below. But let's finally get started with this thing before the spooky season is over. Let's start with a pretty recognizable Pokemon creepypasta, but one I believe has a pretty cool yet haunting concept. Pokemon Black. No, not that one. Pokemon Creepy Black. We have to throw in the word creepy in front of it so we don't get confused. Pokemon Creepy Black is a tale where someone buys a bootleg Pokemon game from a flea market since they love collecting bootleg games. This game, however, was relatively normal when comparing it to the Generation 1 games. However, there's a few big differences. Firstly, after getting your starter, you start off with another Pokemon in your party. This Pokemon is known as Ghost, which is actually the ghost you see within the Pokemon Tower without the Silph Scope. This ghost is overpowered for two reasons. Firstly, any Pokemon that tries to fight you with Ghost at the front of your party thing, which is faint, they're legit gone. It doesn't even stop there. After beating a trainer, the battle can continue and you can choose to either run away to make the battle end normally, or use Curse on the trainer themselves, and yes, it erases them too. Unfortunately, you can't use it on people that you have to fight again in the future like your rival. Also, you can't use it against Ghost Pokemon too. However, after our protagonist, because I always admired Ghost in Generation 1, their sprite looked ominously haunting. The concept of not being able to fight it because other Pokemon would be too scared too was an awesome callback to the Lavender Tower battle. And what's interesting is that the protagonist said that they played through this game again, never using Ghost to kill Pokemon and trainers, and while the sprites never appeared at the end, it would always end in your old character losing their life to Ghost as if death was unavoidable. Kinda makes you think that Ghost is some sort of a Grim Reaper.
I doubt it'll pick up, but still trying to call him.
This entry is technically two entries, but that's because they're related.
I'm calling the homie. That looks like mildly disturbing. Like, for example,
because one, people say live life to the fullest.
You are trying to just get cursed. What?
I think I'm already cursed, actually.
What do you mean you're already cursed?
I don't know. It just feels so weird whenever I go somewhere. It feels like someone keeps getting hurt, and then I keep getting in trouble, and then after that I get hurt for some reason.
What?
Yeah.
Hold up, wait. Does it look clean? Does it look clean or nah?
You look like one of those, like if you were like to be in a BTS backup dancer.
I look like I'm supposed to be in a BTS band?
Yeah, like one of the backup dancers.
Yo, tell me how the side looks. I can't really, like, look that good.
For some reason.
Is it?
I literally got on it.
My computer keeps doing this weird thing where it disconnects and reconnects. Every time. Yeah. But But I'm gonna be live for like, maybe like, oh no. After this video, just send me a video to react to because I think I'm running out of stuff to watch. Blocks at IKEA. Oh, take care of your kid, bro. after stream though, because I'm streaming until like maybe 6. Damn, yeah, I know. I mean, the other day I randomly streamed and I got like a 50. Yeah, some of y'all can be stupid. But like, yo, let me,
removed from the game, which is known as Fist and Brutal. Now, this is relevant to the other story, Buried Alive model. This story is about a boss that you were supposed to face at the top of the Pokemon Tower. However, they were removed and replaced with a Marowak ghost instead. Encountering them would spark the dialogue, "You're here. I'm trapped. And I'm lonely. So very lonely. Won't you join me?" After that, the battle would immediately start. Something you may not know about me is that I have a personal hatred towards just my least favorite Pokemon, but this story actually makes a usage out of them that I genuinely appreciate. Pokemon Lost Silver is about someone who bought themselves a copy of Pokemon Silver for only $10. I'm actually pretty jealous. When starting up the game, they noticed that there was already a file on it. When they checked it, it definitely wasn't the most normal thing to see. They were already inside of what seemed like Sprout Tower and had 6 Pokemon. 5 unknown that spelled L-E-A-V and E, which spells leave, and a Cyndaquil named Hurry, which had only 1 HP and knew the moves Leer and Flash. After wandering for a bit, they would soon find a ladder that would lead them to a dark area where they couldn't see. Not only that, but the music went from silent to playing the creepy radio song that plays in the Alph ruins where the unknown live. The player uses Cyndaquil's flash to bright up the room, and it reveals a red room which only led down one long pathway. At the end, there was a sign that said "Turn back now" with a yes or no option. The player selects yes, and then the screen turned black again. The music changed to the solemn Pokey Flute thing. I'm not going to try and read the whole thing in this video because it's pretty long but pretty interesting, but I'll just leave a few quick notes of what happens next in the story. Eventually, the player's sprite would become super white and pale, and their